All praises goes to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Yasharahla, and salutation to the Ahchyam throughout the four corners of the earth, preaching this truth and sincerity, and keeping the faith of Yahawah, Yahawashi, and the gospel. This is Yahawah, bringing to you another lesson. Basically, it's just a brief lesson to kind of go into the Northern Kingdom, about basically how some of the tokens and signs that we know that based on the scriptures that they're Israelites, okay? And really, I'm doing this because, I've seen a lot of people, I actually did a search, and really just, I don't know what it was today that made me do it, but I just did a search just to see, what people were saying, or just some of the videos that were out there as far as, Mexicans being Israelites, which is what I typed up, because, when we're in this thing, sometimes we get secluded in our mind and forgetting sometimes what's going on outside of us, all the lies that's being spread, concerning the gospel. All right. And, one of those lies is that the so-called, natives of the Americas are not Israelites. All right. And that lie has spread, like wildfire. And, it's basically, that's something that we have to combat, as, men of the Most High that are defending this truth. Because, that is definitely something that has been pushed out there by, those that cause division, and, they got this whole thing, the big, it's amazing, this whole, all the 12 tribes are black and all this stuff. And, these people don't even believe in so many things. Like, there's so many things that these same people don't believe in. A lot of times these so-called, all the 12 tribes are Negroid and black and all this stuff. Those same people, when you examine, what they believe in, they don't. A lot of times, a good chunk of them won't believe on Yahawashi. Okay, a good chunk of them don't understand Numbers 1 and 18. They don't understand that the seed comes from the man. Okay, so they would say. So those same people would say that someone like Blake Griffin is a momser. Meanwhile, in their ignorance, they'll accept Lenny Kravitz. So these people, they don't know anything. They're basically just set up by the spirit of Satan, all right, to basically be a stumbling block, a stumbling block out there, and basically to put forth that imagination that the 12 tribes are all going to look like Denzel Washington or something, and that's that illusion that a lot of these people are pushing out there, and for a lot of you brothers that are coming into the truth, that are, so-called Latino, so-called Native American, that have woken up to the truth, definitely don't let them shake up your faith. Because, if you're new in this thing, if a brother that's seasoned, they understand these demons, But if you're newly coming in, you're finding out that you're an Israelite, and you got, this guy out there that's telling you you're not an Israelite and trying to get into your head and basically trying to plant that seed of doubt in your mind, understand that those people were already set up before time for this destruction, basically set up to basically be taken down. Okay, because really on both sides, there's going to be people that are going to hate, just like, a lot of us from the Southern Kingdom, Judah in particular, especially out there in LA, and I got family that stays out in Cali, and I know the hell that two-third so-called Mexican puts on our people that are over there, especially in places where we don't have large numbers, and so those people, they ain't gonna make it, they're not gonna make it, which we already understand. See, we're spiritual, we're not carnal. We already understand that those people that are doing those things, to any of their brethren innocently, are going to get put to death on this side, and they're going to be dealt with on a heavy-handed level, and they're going to go into the kingdom with that shame and everlasting contempt. Now, some of the people that bring up this, all the tribes, are, Negroid, and, then they bring up that the so-called Mexicans, hate black people, which, yeah, I would say a majority, probably maybe two-thirds of, you could probably say, roughly a number, maybe probably have an animosity towards the so-called Negroes. We could probably say that to a certain degree, or they have that dislike, that was all set up, really by the curses, for one, and two, Esau basically propagated a lot of that stuff. Esau was one who basically pushed forth the mentality within Issachar the so-called Mexicans, Zebulon, which is the so-called Central Americans of Guatemala, Nicaragua, Panama, and basically put it in their hearts to hate their own brethren, okay? Which, Yahawah Shem Yahshai willing, I'll be able to do a lesson to show you basically a lot of the origins of that, which, that can go back to the so-called Spaniards, the conquistadors, which brought Cesare Borgia, into the hearts and minds of a lot of the natives, of the Americas, who are the Northern Kingdom, but also later on, with some of their different, infiltration in different various groups that they set up with amongst our people, okay? And there's a reason why they did that, okay? There's a reason, there's an actual strategy that was set up, and the Most High used Esau to basically manifest that curse of, Deuteronomy 28 chapter, where it says that a man's eye shall be evil towards his brother. Okay, all right. So the Most High uses the so-called white man Esau, who is the spawn of Satan, to basically set up the actual, basis of that hatred. Okay, because I know for certain, when you go to, and he sowed it really more in the hearts of the Northern Kingdom, because he knew he already had that angle on them in a certain way. Because Judah, the Southern Kingdom, they're very, Judah's wicked, but Judah's very accepting of a lot of other people. And if you go to different places like, Atlanta, where there's not as much Ishakarites, the Judites over there, they can't even believe when you tell them what's going on in LA, which that's dying down anyway, right now, as far as the animosity and hatred, that's been dying down, and that's some brothers that's, over there in LA that are doing the work of telling us that stuff has died down considerably. All right. So the Most High is putting different spirits out there, that are not set up in that hatred and that animosity. Esau can only do his work for so long, so, it is all through, the spirit of Yahawah Shem Yahshai. Like I said, if you're a brother that's coming in from the Northern Kingdom, understand that, the brothers that are in this truth, of the Southern Kingdom, they got your back. I mean, pretty much you see the videos, heck, the Most High set it up that we're the ones who's, doing a lot of the work to let you know, that you're Israelites. So, and basically, putting ourselves out there to be ridiculed, also by, these 2/3, men of the Southern Kingdom. Okay. So, you already know that, we're not about saving Mexicans. We're not about saving black people, so-called black people. We're about saving the Israelites. We don't care if an Israelite comes through looking like, Jet Li. Okay. Which, he could be a Jake. We don't, but I'm just giving you an example. We don't care what the dude looks like. If the guy has the spirit of Israel and he believes on the prophecies, he believes on Yahawah Shem Yahawashi, he's an Israelite. All right? So we can't get carnal on these things. Now, this lesson right here is going to be basically talking about the unleavened bread. Okay? And as you know, that is one of the things we keep is the Feast of the Unleavened Bread, And I'm just going to read this scripture real quick, and then we're going to go into, how we can prove that the natives over here are, in fact, Israelites through this particular custom that we kept, which is basically, making unleavened bread. All right, so Exodus 12:20, ye shall eat nothing leavened, in all your habitations shall ye eat unleavened bread. Okay? Now, that was something that we did, and that Exodus, basically the Passover is probably the highest holy day, in all of Israel. The, high holy day in all of Israel. It's definitely probably the number one feast in all of Israel is the Passover, just because of what it means to us in that time in our deliverance from captivity in Egypt. Okay? And because of that, that particular custom of making unleavened bread and the remembrance of making unleavened bread, for that very reason, stuck with a lot of the tribes, especially the Northern Kingdom. Okay? Because the Most High has signs, that in things that he had kept amongst different tribes within the nation that basically kind of showed you that they were Israelites. All right? Because in order for us to have gone into this captivity, we had to have fallen away from doing what we're supposed to do, which was keeping the commandments pertaining to, Deuteronomy 28 and 15, that the curses will come upon us if we don't keep it. Now, what happened was the Most High had set it up that the tribes, different tribes were forgetting certain things, but then on the flip side, they were also keeping certain things that were within the law. Okay, so one of the things that was the tortilla. Okay, now when you read about the tortilla is actually an unleavened bread. Okay, that is common, in Mexico. That's the name of what it's called, but it's also common throughout the Americas, which I'll go into when I break down, I guess, the other type of tortillas. All right, so now it says here that is a type of soft, or tortilla, right? To differentiate it from the other uses of the word tortilla, is a type of soft, thin flatbread made from finely ground wheat flour, originally derived from the corn tortilla. Okay, in tortilla, it means, in Spanish, means small torta or small cake. All right, so a bread of maize which predates the arrival of the Europeans to the Americas. Okay, so this is basically letting you know that they're letting you know that this bread, that this unleavened bread, was around here amongst the natives before these Edomites, these conquistadors, came to the Americas. Okay, it says the wheat flour tortilla was an innovation after wheat was brought to the New World for Spain, while this region was the new colony of New Spain. The reason why they're saying that is because the tortilla is originally made with corn tortilla. All right, so it was a corn tortilla, which I'll get into as well. All right, and it says it was made with an unleavened water-based dough pressed and cooked with corn tortillas. All right, so I'm gonna get into the corn tortilla. All right, so it says here in Mexico and Central America, a tortilla is a type of thin, unleavened flatbread. Okay, so who makes unleavened bread? The so-called Mexicans. All right, and that will be, those from the Aztecs. All right, the Aztecas. All right, and then you have other groups. You have the Mayans, which you go down in you keep going further down south of Mexico. You start getting into all those different groups. All right, all those different nations that came out of, the Northern Kingdom. All right, those different tribes. All right, so basically it says a small bread. Okay, from South America. See, so it's similar. So not just Mexico and Central America, saying a similar bread from South America called arepa, though arepas are typically much thicker than tortillas, predates the arrival of Europeans to Americas, and was called tortilla by the Spanish for its resemblance to the traditional Spanish round unleavened cakes and omelets. All right, and the traditional, all those unleavened cakes and omelets they're talking about from Spain, those are from the Israelites that basically lived in Spain, because Israelites were living in Spain, which was Tarshish. We already had set up colonies during the time of Solomon. All right, and that's the reason why it was called the Iberian Peninsula, which Ibar means Hebrew. So basically the name of the Iberian Peninsula means the Hebrew Peninsula, right? Because that's where the Israelites stayed. That's the reason why for a long time, even going back to the time of the Roman Empire, it was a colony that we stayed in. And if you go into, I believe, the end of the book of Romans, Paul talks about wanting to make a trip also to Spain, to also preach to the scattered Israelites over there in Spain as well. All right. Now, if you know anything, fast forward from the time of the Roman Empire when it fell, and then there was the Middle Ages, basically the 1,000-year period of the rule of the Israelites. Before the Renaissance, we were heavily over there, and you had the people there that were called Moors that lived over there as well. So that tradition of continuing that unleavened cakes is still around, all right? And that's the reason why by the time that we fell in the late 15th century, and these conquistadors started coming, that food and those unleavened cakes were already around, because that was already a part of this culture of Spain due to the Israelites that were already living there. Especially those that had already, were already there. We had a kingdom over there during the Middle Ages, and the Moors were heavily a big part of that. But then you also had, because a lot of the Moors were Muslim, but then you also had Israelites that were not Muslim that were basically, holding to, basically the faith of the Bible, okay? And those were called, I believe, Moranos. Okay, because you had Moors and you had Moranos. And Moranos is, I did a little word study on that. If you check one of my other videos, it breaks down the word Morano, and it shows you, when you connect everything, how it shows you specifically that they know that the people that lived over there were the real Jews, the Moors, right? Your so-called Negroes that were over there before these Spaniards, these Edomite Spaniards took down our people and then started their expedition going to take down the Northern Kingdom, okay? So it lets you know that this is also in South America, all right? So it's just basically plain, just letting you know that they know that this predates everything, all right? And when you go down, you know, it just goes over the different places, you know, about, you know, where it's made. You got the Salvadoran, you got Belize, all right? So you got Guatemala. And then it, you know, I believe there was a part, I don't know if it was in this one or another one, but it also talked about how it was in South America, which it did say up there, but they were showing the different types, which I don't even know where it is right here. But, you know, this also was found, you know, in South America as well. It's still there amongst the natives. They also do the same thing. So why are all these natives, you know, going from all the way from North America, you know, all the way down, you know, to South America? Why are they baking unleavened bread? I mean, even till now, I mean, everybody even knows if you want to eat breakfast, you know, people know about breakfast tacos now and stuff like that. Because, see, Issachar in particular, you know, they prefer that unleavened bread. You know, and the Most High put that spirit on them to keep them on that culture. You know, and they prefer unleavened bread with a lot of their meals, you know, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And that's spiritual that the Most High kept that custom, you know, among them, because that was a custom of the Israelites, which this is something that, you know, it's something that we were told to keep as far as the Feast of Unleavened Bread, but they made it a full-on, you know, staple, you know, to do this and to eat this primarily, you know, with a lot of their meals. So again, it's just more further proof, you know, showing that the so-called Mexicans, the so-called natives of Mexico and of the Americas are Israelites, all right? And none of those, you know, bugged out, you know, jakes out there that say that y'all are not Israelites can basically say anything about this, you know? And you know, we can get into the study about the fringes and the border of blue, you know, and that the different natives wear, and pictures even to this day where they're still wearing that and still keeping that custom, you know. So these guys, you know, they can't do nothing against the truth but for it. All they did is just basically create another reason for us to continue to edify and to seal the elect. Right? So again, all praises to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Yasharahla, and salutation to the Ahchyam throughout the four corners of the earth, preaching the truth and sincerity, and keeping the faith of Yahawashi, Yahawashi, and the gospel. Shalawam.